All right, back to part 2. This is 2016 8th grade STAR math test. I'm going to work on problems 15 till probably 29 and hope I don't run out of film. So here we go. It says the set designer for a play painted. Alrighty, this is part 2 of 2016 8th grade STAR math test, and we're going to work on problems 15 through 29. So here we go. It says you have the set designer for a play painted some background scenery for a large piece of plywood. He used a 13-foot long pole to hold the piece of plywood upright as shown in the diagram. So here's your diagram. It says what is H right here. Now let's talk. What do you see? I hope you see a right triangle. Yes, you're right. It's definitely not a left one. So the problem is they want to know the height of the piece of plywood. Now I hope you notice that there's a 2 here, and so when you get done with H, you have to add 2 to it. Otherwise, you will get it wrong. So, let's see what you've got. Now, it looks like to me this would be A, this would be B, and this would be C. And if I'm missing A, I need the shortcut formula. So it's A equals square root C squared minus B squared. But you remember, close that door, and you might want to add 2 to the problem as well. So let's put that in the calculator and see what we get. Now, before I get typing in this calculator, you need to make sure of one thing. These units are the same, right? You looked, feet, feet, that one's feet, and the answer is shown in feet. You need to make sure you're checking that because you miss that, it's going to be all wrong. So here we go. Here's my calculator. I put the square root C squared minus B squared in there. Close the door, and then added 2. If you forgot the 2, well, then that's probably wrong. Answer is 14. And 14.00, there's my griddable. All right, I'm looking at question 16. It's talking about the table contains the only corresponding x and y values where the value of y is 3 more than the quotient of y and 2. We all know that's coming from your homework, that Monday through Thursday paper. Now, what are my steps 1, 2, 3? Number 1, this is translate from words to numbers. That's pretty simple. Number 2 is I just recopied that sentence from the math problem, and I'm going to translate word for word right underneath it. And this would be my number 3. Y goes here. Is the word equals, because 2 plus 2 is 4. More than means flip the order, so the 3 goes in the back and all of this goes to the front. Quotient means divide. That's the numerator, that's the denominator. And if I want to divide first, you have to put parentheses. So PEMDAS is correctly solved. Now I went to my y equals. And I can prove it's y equals. It starts with y. That's a pretty good proof. I went to my y equals, and I put it in exactly the way I wrote it. If you see product, quotient, sum, and difference, those words go in parentheses. We've talked about that. So there that is. Here's my pretty little graph, and yep, it's gorgeous. But who cares? I need a table. Second graph, there's my table. And you need to find the answers that are matched. G is the answer, and if you look, here is 7, and that's 6.5, and then I have a 10, that's an 8, and I have a 14, that's a 10. So again, the answer is G. Next problem. Question 17. It says the ball is the shape of a sphere. Yep, it sure is. And it starts giving you the radius, and it wants the measure of volume. Make sure the units are the same. I see cubic centimeters. I see cubic centimeters. The radius is in cubic centimeters. Nothing says terrible when they change those units. Now, I went to the formula chart, and I found that formula. And if you look, you only see one sphere, so that'd probably be the one formula. Just a good guess. V equals 4/3 pi radius cubed. So I need to input 2.7 where the R is. So I'm going to keep the V, 4/3 pi. R becomes 2.7, and you're really lucky you're not looking at diameter, and a 3. And what screen would y'all use? Yes, you're right, home screen. You're correct. Let's look at that. That's how I put it in, and if you look at my answer choice D, I think we're pretty good there. Next. Time to pay for school. Now, if you read this question 18, it says her and her family are discussing how to pay college. The cost of tuition is going to be $9,000 a year. By the way, that's actually low. Her parents will pay for 85% of the tuition. That's good. And she pays the rest. She has 1 year to save enough money. And it asks you how much money she needs to save per month in order to reach her goal. Now, let's talk serious. So if this is her first year in college, so that means by default she is a senior in high school. And how many seniors in high school do you know that work all month to make $28? Excellent. I like to see the job they're making $1,350 because I need that job myself. So you shouldn't have picked G or J. Now, F, that's the pretty good money, and H ain't bad. But $28? Right, sure. A job to make $28. So let's continue. I wrote over here your cost. So it's $9,000 for a year. I wrote gift, and that would be the parents. The mom and dad said they're going to pay 85% of the tuition. That means 100 minus 85 is 15% you must pay. J-O-B. Now, down here, my equation. The cost is $9,000. Subtract the gift equals how much money's left over that she must pay. And it's a 1-year thing. So this is in years. $9,000 for a year. Parents are paying this much for the year. This is how much you have to pay for the year. And if you read the question, it said monthly. That means you divide by 12 here in a minute. Now, the 9,000 goes here. Subtract. 85% is 85 divided by 100 times 9,000. That's my total. Equals X. And X is $1,350. When I divide by 12, I get $112. So she has to save $112. Now she might make $600, that's true, but she needs to save $112 to get herself through first year of college. And the answer is H. Question 6. You have a coordinate grid. They've got you some ordered pairs. Aren't those pretty? And they're asking you to take that quadrilateral, reflect it across the y-axis to make quadrilateral whatever. Which rule describes this transformation? Now, I wrote 1, 2, 3 over here, and I marked some stuff. Transformation, and I went back and found reflect because it said so right there. I listed what I know. Now, I know when you have a number in front of the x and a number in front of the y, that's dilation. It could be 3, it could be 1/2, but that's dilation. You're making it bigger or smaller. I know you can do flip, don't flip, so I flipped them. I flipped both of them. There's the flip, don't flip. There's the don't. And that one's negative, the second one's negative, and they're both negative. So there's all my rotation ones from that little pattern we memorized. This one here, I know if keep in the order x, y, x, y. If this one's negative versus this one, that's a reflection thing. I don't know which one right off the bat, but I do know it's a reflection because the order did not change. Now I can come over here and tell you if it's reflection, it should be xy yields xy. So let's see which one's wrong. XY, 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 wrong, and that one's wrong. It has to be X comma Y. And the better question is, which one's which? I don't know. Who remembers that kind of stuff? Now, I went up here and placed point P at 1 on the X, 2 on the Y. Make sure you get that correct. The 1 is the X, the 2 is the Y. We don't have time for mistakes. And then I reflected over Y. Let's not reflect over X. They call that wrong. So if I went 1 bump to the right, I'll just go 1 bump to the left. The end. P prime is right there. I renamed that ordered pair, -1, 2. And if you look, X is positive. Now it's negative. And if you notice, Y has no change. So the Y is okay. It's the X that has the problem. The Y is okay, and the X changed. So I'm going to refer this information to my answer choices. So the Y is okay. Y shouldn't be negative. Y is okay right here. Answer's B. Next question, 20. Alrighty, I'm looking at question 20. It says, which situation represents proportional relationship? I underlined proportional. You should have. Now, here's my 1, 2, 3s. Number 1, proportional. That's my action word. Number 2, what do I know? Well, I know 0, 0 is on the graph, and I know it's y equals mx plus 0 because there is no b. I know that 0 means there's no fees, there's no shipping, there's none of that stuff. There is no one-time anything. If I bought 1, it costs $5. If I bought 2, it costs $10. There's no extra stuff. So pay attention to what you're looking at. All right, the first one. It says the cost of purchasing a basket of oranges for $1.30 per pound. There's your per. I need that. And $5 for the basket. That's an extra fee. That's no. That's a no. Next, the cost of purchasing a peaches for this much per box. There's my per. I need that. That's my M number. And a delivery charge of $3. No, there's no one. That's a one-time fee. No, there's no one-time fee. The next one, the cost of purchasing a grapefruit box is $1.80 per pound. I need that number. That goes with M. And a coupon for $1 off. What does off mean? Subtract the total cost. not $1 off per pound. Now, if you did $1 per pound, I'm game with that because that's really 80 cents a pound. I can do that math problem. But you just can't take $1 off the end because that would be -1. No, that's a one-time fee. You only get $1 off. The last one, the cost of purchasing the apples is $1.75 per pound. I need that word because that's M. Plus, and you're thinking that's terrible, right? A shipping fee of 16 cents per pound. That's per also. These numbers are per, and that's okay because you need per. You don't need anything else. So the pers are okay. The other extras are not okay. The answer is J. Question 21. Somebody's got a microscope to measure the diameter of a hair. She found the diameter of the hair to be a little bitty number. How is this number written in scientific notation? So you type that really big number in your calculator. I dropped the first 0. You could put it in if you want to, but I didn't want to. And I pushed the enter button, and I got that. And now I am in scientific notation because I want my answer in scientific notation. And you do second quit to get out of that. So 7.2, because we talk has to be less than $10, and they're all 7.2s. That's a -5. That's a -5. The rest of those are wrong. By the way, the zeros are on the left. It has to be a negative. So those are really wrong. Answer's A. Next question. Question 22. The triangle PQR and RST are similar right triangles. Yay, similar. Now the question is, which proportion can be used to find this slope? Now I wrote my 1, 2, 3s here, and I'm working on that right now. Number 1, I think slope's pretty good, Hen. I liked it. Number 2, what do you know about the slope of that line? That's a long time ago, but you should remember the slope is the same for that line. I don't care how many triangles you draw on that line, it's the same slope. That's why it says slope, not slopes. So I wrote the slope of a line is the same answer for a triangle drawn on that line. For any, actually, triangle drawn on that line. You can draw them all day long. It's the same answer. Now, if you look at your answer choices, you're thinking, hey, y1, y minus y over x minus x. Or maybe you're thinking rise over run. Now, I continued on, and I got my work going on down here. We've talked about looking at slope on these lines, and I've told y'all to go up. So I think you should start here and go this way up the graph. Not going down, going up. Now, from T to R, how do you get there? So you're going to go up, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you went up 8. And I think I'm going left at this point. Left. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So left 6. Let's do the next triangle. 1, 2, 3, 4. I went up 4. 1, 2, 3. I went left 3. So if you look at those fractions, and those are fractions, so let's record those. Let me scoot down. Actually, I'll just work right here. So rise over run. For the big one, I got going up 8 and going left 6, and you're right, that's negative. And the other one, I got going up 4 and going left 3. And if you look, yep, you're right, they're equal. So they're just simplified. One's bigger than the other, but they have to be equal. It's the same line. This is the solution. Now you got to figure out which one of those match. Now let's talk smart. Should we point out the obvious? Hey, you have a calculator. If you would type that numerator in and you get a 4, I would keep it. Or an 8, they're good. You have to find this answer. So let's go find it. What's 3 minus 7? Negative, oops, let me get off that mode. What is 3 minus 7? Negative 4. What is negative 4 minus negative 7? 3. This one here is negative 4 over 3. I need a 4 on top, I need a 3 on bottom, and I need one negative. I have it. What about that one? Wouldn't that be 7 on top? And wouldn't that be 14 on the bottom? You don't have a 7 or a 14. No, next. What about negative 4 minus negative 7? Wouldn't that be positive 3 over negative 4? You don't have a 3 on top. You have a 4 on top. No. What about this one? Negative 4 minus minus 3. Negative 4 subtract negative 3. How about is negative 7 on top? You don't have a negative 7 on top. Wrong. So at this point, I'd pick F because I ran out of choices.